afternoon. We're talking about the importance of New Year resolutions. Now, I'll give us like a very quick background of New Year resolutions. The history of New Year resolutions actually dates back to the early Babylonians. They made promises to their gods at the start of every year, and of course part of these promises is that they will return borrowed objects and also pay their debts. Now, the ancient Romans began each year also making promises to the goddess called Janus. Now, Janus is whom the month January is named after, according to the Romans. Now, the practice of making New Year resolutions began to gain momentum in the Western world, gradually, especially during the Middle Ages, where it was later adopted by Christians as a way of starting each year afresh and also making a new start. Today, the tradition of making New Year resolutions has become an integral part of the holiday season, and it's been adopted in many countries regardless of your culture, your traditions, and even your beliefs. All right, Nigeria is one of those countries. We as a people, on social media, what you will see people talking about is their vision board for the year 2024, their resolutions, their goals, and literally everything, pointing to the fact that people actually take this issue of New Year resolutions very seriously. So it's a way to reflect on the old year and also for you to plan ahead for the new or the coming year. So let's start by actually having your own perspective of what the New Year resolutions are, what they're supposed to be, and how important they are in the first place. I'll start with you.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
What a very important topic.
Mm-hmm.
New Year resolution is something everybody look up to. But the funny part of it is that most people that make New Year resolutions, maybe set goals or decisions they have made, at times those resolutions die at the arrival moment.
Dead on arrival.
Yeah, dead on arrival. Some of them, proceeding of the year, you can't even remember the resolutions you made. But it is important that when a year is coming up, that someone come up after reviewing your last year, and you have to pinpoint places where you did well, places you didn't do well, and try to get more energy, more momentum to do well in such places you didn't do well, and to move on better. But one of the ways that resolutions are well executed is that when you make a new resolution, you mark out a set out plan and determined to do that. If you're not determined to back your New Year resolutions, it will just be in your mouth and you not execute them. And that's what have happened to several people. They make New Year resolutions, but they find that at the end of the year, they were not able to follow what the presidents they set, and they fall back again to make another New Year's resolution, which they will not,
also adhere to.
So it is important when you're making a New Year resolution. First of all, you receive the energy to making sure, the discipline to making sure that those things that you've marked out are totally well followed, and that is where God factor comes in. Because anything you set goals that you do without God, you find out at times you see that it's just like a blowing an air.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to the issue of how you can ensure that your resolutions actually succeed. All right. Let me come to you, Jane. What do you think about New Year resolutions?
It's nice, starting the year with resolutions. But like he said, I'll borrow a word from him. Discipline is the watchword here. Because you starting a year and coming up with all manner of stuff written down, and you are not disciplined to enacting or bringing to pass or following suit all you've written, it's just mere, drama.
Sure.
So I want to say New Year resolutions are nice, and it is good because it helps us, you know, to do things right. It helps us to stay focused. You know, when you do not have New Year resolutions, you can't be focused. But when you have,
So the resolutions are important.
they are important.
Okay.
They are very important. It helps, like, it's just like a guideline for someone for the year. And so with that, you'll be able to know how to take your steps, what to do, what not to do. It's just a sense of control over, you know, what is happening around you, what is happening around your life. You know, so you just having control over it. That you've said, oh, this year I'm not going to drink. You are
And you stick to
making
that.
sure that you are sticking to that, that you're not drinking. This year I'm not going to gossip, I'm not going to do stuff, you know. You're making sure that you're working towards it. So it's a nice thing if we do have New Year resolutions, but several people don't keep to it. Like I said, it's dead on arrival. You see, some people will just say, okay, I'm not going to drink. And a friend just comes and like, what are you doing? Let's go hang out. They forgot to know that they just promised God yesterday, crossover, I'm not going to do this again, and then they are there. And by the time they've taken like 5 bottles, they're like, oh my God, I said I was not going to drink. So it's always like, it's a nice thing to have New Year resolution, if only
We
one
can
will be
keep to it.
disciplined, you know.
All right, you know, this issue of New Year resolutions failing, all right, researchers also to a large extent agree, because according to studies, the failure rate for New Year resolutions is actually pegged at about 80%,
Sure.
okay? And according to research, they show that 23% of people quit their resolutions by the end of the first week in January.
Yeah.
And 43% quit by the end of January. Only about 31%, you know, of people stick with their resolutions, their promises, you know, that they make. Okay, now we're talking about a failure rate of about 81%. That is huge.
It's huge.
Okay, so if resolutions are so important, you know, to how you live your lives, because like you said, it's like a blueprint for how your life will go in the year. Why don't people stick to them?
Good. You know why? A whole lot of folks make resolutions based on what another person is doing.
Okay.
Jane has made a resolution as a friend, and I come around. Jane said, I'm not going to be mingling with this year. I'm not going to be.
This year I won't buy Bond Street wig.
You know, I won't buy wig this year. And you just stumble, you know, on her, and you just, you know, find yourself hearing her resolution. You say, me too. I will not buy hair today. I will not buy this. So a lot of resolutions people make come from their mouth. It comes from their head, not from their heart. You know, the resolutions that stands are the resolutions that are born out of encounter. If it is not out of encounter, it will die on arrival. It just become a talk that will never be done. So a whole lot of folks do resolution based on what they see around people. Not really with the encounter they've had by their spirit. So it becomes a mere talk. A mere talk. And that's why you have the rate of failures in adhering to their resolutions at 81%. That's huge.
That's huge.
That's huge. Because a whole lot of folks, they make resolutions outside their spirit. Their spirit man is not involved. So when your spirit man is involved, you'll be disciplined to do that. Because the spirit controls the physical. Not just on your head. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. No, it doesn't work that way.
Okay, and also when it comes from you, you are conscious
About
of it. You carry it about. Okay, I get that. All right, so Jane, why do you think people don't adhere to it, to their resolutions?
Just like Harriet said, the truth is, the flesh, they've actually not mortified the flesh. The flesh is coming in between what the spirit has to say, and they are moved by sight and not by the spirit. So just like he said, people just come up with the idea of, okay, this person have said I'm not going to do this, or maybe he can say, okay, I have some group of friends that are hanging out today. Will you like to join us, or come, let's go? And I'm like, I don't want to go. I already had made up my mind not to go to such thing. And instantly he will like, okay, since you're not going, it's a good thing, you know. So you mean you've actually resolved not to do this? Okay, I won't.
Yeah, me too. I won't do it. Okay.
I won't do. So they are just doing it because of how they feel, number one, and because of their flesh. It's not all about their spirit. Their spirits are not involved in it. If it is involved in it, they will have results in it, and they will be focused. Like the watchword I said, discipline. Discipline will actually keep them on that point to making sure that they execute whatever they have written out for the year, or whatever they've made up their minds to achieve for the year. So that's just it.
Okay. All right. So there's also that point of people making unrealistic resolutions.
Yeah.
For instance, for someone who has never gone through the four walls of a university, just resolving that this year I want to be a professor. All right, yeah, you can be a professor, but then it takes a process. Sure. You cannot just from, in the space of 1 year, you don't have a university degree already and you become. So there's also that issue of unrealistic goals, that people make, and then at the end of the year, they can't achieve it. So how then can someone actually go about it to ensure that the goals, the resolutions they make at the start of the year, they stick to it, and they succeed in it?
First of all, let's deal with the unrealistic goals.
Okay.
Why people don't realize their goal at the end of the year is because their set goals are not well defined. They're not well defined. You cannot set a goal you've not defined, whether it is short time. We have a short-term goal. We have a long-term goal. So you really need to define the goals you have. If your vision is really controlling you, you have to set goals on how to actualize those visions. If your vision is meant to control you, is meant to rule over you. So how to actualize them is I have to define them, to give yourself a space within January
so period and so period. Okay,
I'm going to achieve this.
All right, so you give yourself a time frame. Okay,
and it must be in the frame of your capacity.
Okay,
you cannot go beyond your capacity to achieving a goal, because you're not going to steal. If you steal,
I get that.
They will catch you. If you steal, your vision will catch you.
So you can't cut corners.
You don't.
Because you want to achieve your goals.
If you cut corners to achieve a goal, at the long run, the vision will expose you. Have you come to tell when somebody stumbles on you and ask you, how did you get this? How did you come? You begin to stagger because you didn't follow due process in achieving those things. So you wouldn't have the boldness to explain how you got those stuff. So one day, it will expose you if you have still your way to achieving a goal outside the laid down rules. You get it? So you have to set goals that is between your capacity to actualize that. If it's beyond your capacity, it becomes a mirage.
I have a question to ask based on what you have said. But then motivational speakers tell us to dream big. Do you get dream beyond what dream. Don't be afraid to dream really big. So if I juxtapose that with what you have just said, don't set goals beyond your capacity, and on the other hand is the issue of don't be afraid to dream big. Where do I strike the balance?
Now listen to me. The motivational speaker is telling you to dream big. What he's trying to achieve is to enlarge your mind, to stretch your capacity. He's trying to stretch you. But you cannot get to that big thing without starting small. The motivational speaker is not trying to tell you not to start small. But he's trying to tell you to aim big even as you start.
As you go
small.
gradually.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Because your capacity enlarges as you keep trying.
All right. So start small, but
Yeah.
keep your eyes on the bigger
Yeah,
picture.
good,
Okay.
good.
On the,
That's
yeah. I needed to
bigger
clarify
picture.
that
Yeah.
because people will start wondering.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm dreaming big, and now I'm told to just.
Yeah.
You want to add to that?
Yeah, just like what he has said, there is no restrictions to how big you can dream, but you just need to start somewhere. You know, starting somewhere, it's going to help you, you know, find your feet, number one, and then while you're there, you're looking at the bigger picture, like you said, and that is going to be the drive. That will be your drive. You know where you're going to, but you're just starting here, and a step at a time, you will get there.
Okay.
You will get there. But some people just want to, you know, build a mansion just waking up and the mansion is there. It's not achievable. You need to start somewhere.
Okay.
Just
All right.
start.
Just hold your thoughts. We'll come back in a minute. Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. All right. So we're still looking at New Year resolutions. Of course, we all know that the month of January is a very unique month in every year. Okay. So planning how the rest of the year will go starts from the 1st of January. So already some people have made resolutions for the year 2024. Others are still in the process of making that plan, and this conversation is quite necessary because it's supposed to be like a guide so that at the end of the year you can achieve at least to a large extent, you know, most of those goals that you have outlined for this year. All right, so we talked about you know, you staying within your capacity while keeping your eyes on the bigger picture. What more can we do to ensure that our New Year resolutions actually succeed?
Good. The most important thing is that, as like I said earlier, you must have to know what you're looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, you might arrive to nowhere. You must know what you're looking for. And another thing, you have to lay down, you know, strategies on how to actualize that. You know, whatever you have achieved in life, someone has achieved that before. So you get to you got to know the people who have achieved what you want to achieve. If you cannot get them, you know, to ask questions, you could read books. You could read books, things that could make you to make you to be on your toes. Because if you don't put your pressure on yourself, you might not as well achieve certain goals you've set for yourself.
Okay.
You have to be on your toes to achieving them. And most things that are going to help you to, you know, be on your toes is to know what it takes. What is the thing that made this woman that is anchoring this the boss? Well, how did this woman come to this level? There are things that made you come here. And such people, if they can reach you or get anything that has to do about you or some other person who have achieved what I've achieved, and begin to align yourself, plant yourself in those things, just like we have said ab initio. Discipline.
So knowledge,
Yes.
Information plays
you need
a
it.
role.
It's so important, very vital. You need information of what you want to achieve. If not, you just be, you know, meandering without having something. So you have to know where you're going, and that is where mentorship comes in. How can you want to fly in an endeavor or a particular field of endeavor or vision? You must have to get a mentor, somebody you look up to, somebody you're accountable to. Because if you're not accountable to someone, you might as well find out that you're not even accountable to yourself, and everything is just not having any roadway. So you need to get somebody you're looking up to.
Okay.
You get it? You must have to. And the more the person speaks to you, gives you guidelines, you see your life begin to fly. I've seen people who set goals. I've had that once in my life. I set a short-term goal, long-term goal, But before you know it, my short-term goal have given me the long time. Yes. Long-time achievement of the goal I set financially. I've seen that work. Because you really plant yourself. You really put yourself on the toes to achieving that.
Okay, all right. So do you want to add more to that? We have talked about discipline. We've talked about you setting realistic goals.
Yes.
All right, and also information, knowledge. Okay.
And we also failure to plan.
You're planning to fail.
Yes, failure to plan. When you do not plan, definitely you cannot achieve anything. So you must set out a plan, and you must look forward to learning new skills, strategies. Just like he said, these are all they are all embedded in information and education, and I think that if they should have that in place, everything can work, or whatever they have set for themselves, they can achieve.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that,
Okay.
have a good year.
All right, so in making New Year resolutions, first of all, you have to make sure your goals are realistic, okay? Don't put yourself under undue pressure by setting unrealistic goals, goals you know that you cannot achieve like immediately because you haven't gone through the process. Meanwhile, it doesn't mean you can keep your eye on the big picture. For instance, for a school SAT holder who says this year I want to be a professor, all right, even though that cannot happen like in the space of a year, you can keep your eye on the bigger picture, which is becoming a professor, and then go back to school, get into the university, get a degree, and then you move from level to level until you do achieve, you know, the professorship you are aspiring for. All right, so keep your eyes on the bigger picture, but then start small. Start within your level. Okay, that's keeping it real. Also, get a lot of information, a lot of knowledge about, you know, the goals you have set, so that it becomes easier for you to navigate on that way to achieving those goals. All right, also we've talked about the fact that it is actually very important for you to actually make resolutions or set visions or goals in every year, because it helps in improving your focus in life, okay, and it also helps in providing you with clarity as to the direction your life is going. Okay, so I wish us all a very good and happy and prosperous, rewarding and successful 2024. I know I've made my resolutions. Have you made yours? You've made yours. Have you made yours? But then researchers say that the most popular kind of resolutions people make is about themselves. Okay, while we're talking about visions and goals and people achieving so much, the most popular kind of resolutions people make is about themselves. For instance, I want to stop smoking this year. For instance, I want to lose weight this year. I want to be healthier, you know, those sort of things. Okay, so is it any surprise that, you know, people are more concerned about themselves every new year?
No, it's not. It's no surprise. It's no surprise, because I think change starts with you.
Sure.
So you must pay attention to yourself
First.
before it's actually outside. It's what you have been able to achieve on your own. You'll be able to put out there to others to follow. So starting from yourself is not a sin. You should start from yourself so that people can see that these changes have started with you. And you can't preach what you're not practicing. And so that is just it. I think it's nice.
Okay.
Good. If I'm not alive, I'm not existing. So for me to live, I'm first.
Okay.
So my change starts from me. That's the problem we have in the political system. You know, if our change starts from you, the leader, everybody will align. Do you get it? So it starts from you. You must have to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be this, and start it within yourself. And when you start it, you begin to influence your environment. And that's what leadership is all about. Influencing your environment. So when you don't, you tell us this. This is what we want to do as a leader and goals as a government. and you set of things and you don't follow them. Now, how do you want us to do? So it starts from you first.
Okay, so you've heard it. It's not bad. All right, so you can set goals, make resolutions. It's got to do with you, especially prioritize your health and your well-being, because it's only a healthy person who can pursue a goal.
Sure.
Okay, so unhealthy habits or practices, I think January is the time we all resolve to drop them. Okay, I'll drink less soda and more water this year. All right, I would eat late at night. All right, so you can control your pot belly. You know, you go to the gym. I'll exercise a bit more. You know, and so on. So I'll improve on my relationship with God. You know, all of those things. I will gossip less this year. Pay attention to more positive things. Those are all actually good goals, good resolutions you can make for this year. Self-improvement is very, very key, you know, to you actually becoming a better version of yourself. So we keep working on ourselves every day. All right, once again, I pray that all our resolutions, all right, will come through for us, and at the end of the year, when we're all doing our checks and balances, all right, we can do a lot of ticking and say, okay, I did this, I tried, you know, like, exactly. Yeah. If you haven't been doing it, do it this year, and let's say at the end of the year whether or not. I found that when you actually write things down, when you put things down, and then, you know, every day you can look at it and all, it actually drives you, you know, and then, yeah, so it's a good thing. Try it for yourself and let's know how far that goes. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, the month of January is a very important month in the year, and that's because coming off of the whole festivities that goes with Christmas and the New Year celebrations, you know, from December into January, all right, even though we all have fond memories of family get-togethers, all the eating and drinking, merrymaking and all of that, one thing we can't run away from is the fact that in January you also end up with a very dry pocket. Okay, your wallet is almost empty, no money, everybody starts like, so the things you can do in January so that you can survive, you know, on a very low budget, because at this point people are really struggling. It's also the month to pay school fees, it's the month to pay house rents for some people, you know, so there's a lot of pressure financially. Bills. So let's give some tips on how you can actually survive this very important month of January. I think it's the longest month in the year. Yes, what do you think?
Because of the things that couples within. Yes.
Thank you, my brother. Yeah. All right. So one of the things you can do is actually start by creating and sticking to a budget. So it's still about setting goals. Yes. So create a budget. And how can you do that? Because some people can say, how do you create a budget when you don't have money? All right, so first of all is to write your income, then you write your expenses, subtract your expenses from your income, and you leave below whatever is left below. That's very hard to do in Nigeria today because everything is up the air. So any ideas, people?
You know, writing a budget or drawing a budget for yourself, sometimes you don't need to have money to do that.
Really?
Yeah. I've done it before.
Okay.
I want to get this. You capitalize yourself. There's no money now. But I said, before the end of January, I want to save 100,000. Before the end of January, I want to get this. It doesn't involve you having money to do that. What involves you is that you just have to have that faith. Yes. The federal government, when we're drawing budget, do they have all the money when they draw the whole budget? They don't. That's why times after drawing budget, they borrow. Right? To making sure they follow all they have. So you don't need to have money to draw budget about yourself. You don't need to. Because if you have money to draw budget, it's no longer budget.
Okay, I get that.
You get it?
Yeah, I do.
So you don't need money. As you just come, whether even your account is zero. You just said, I want to get this. I want to save 100,000 at the end of
But
July.
let's keep it practical, though. Let's
Okay.
keep it practical. For instance, someone who works has to pay transport fare and get to work like every day, maybe eat lunch, that sort of thing, and has no money. That's the kind of budget we're talking about here, all right? I get what you're saying, though. How do you cope in that regard?
In that regard, he or she works, and your income is not is that minimal. You draw your budget based on that. You draw your budget. Any budget that doesn't allow you to save something has put you into servitude.
Okay. You want to add?
The situation we've even found ourselves right now, it's not even a situation that will encourage anybody to to walk outside budget.
All right, just so you were saying.
Yeah, so I said the situation we found ourselves already, it's not even something that one shouldn't work with budget. Because if you decide to just walk anyhow, wake up in the morning and think everything will be as it is, then you've just lied to yourself. We woke up this morning, we heard that fuel hike, it's going to about...
That's a rumor for now. It's a rumor.
So
Okay.
but we heard that. Let's just say something like that happens. So how do you take care of yourself for the month? Are you getting? So, like I used to say to them in church, you don't need to be under due pressure or pressure from anybody. December has come. If you have to eat the one you can provide as at that moment, and let others take care of themselves. Because January, it's coming. And if you spend everything you have in December, what are you going to use in January? And then, okay, someone is earning XYZ amount of salary, and something just crops up. Let me say like what we heard this morning. How do you expect such person to save? It's still discipline. It still boils down to discipline. If you used to eat 2 meat pie in a week, you cut it down to 1 because you found yourself in that situation. You just need to create a budget for yourself, because if not, you will end up borrowing. You will end up being insulted by people. You will end up entering into the mouths you're not supposed to enter. So you just need to discipline yourself and making sure that the little you have can be able to take you
can
for the
stretch
month.
it.
Yes. So that's just it.
Okay. All right. So one of the tips for surviving January, like we've been talking about, is you creating and sticking. It's not just creating, but you sticking to that budget. And of course, the point is living below your means, all right,
yeah.
not above. Also, it's also the period for you men to head straight home after work. Okay, so we know it's typical for men to want to hang out, with friends, have a drink or two, just relax and cool off before going home. This is not the time for it. This month of January is not the time.
It's the time to save.
Yeah, it's not the time for that. So when you're done from work, go home straight to avoid you unnecessary spending. Spending some more. When you're out with friends, because there's no way you hang out with your friends and you won't be tempted, to spend some money. So
I want to attack that a little.
please attack it.
Now, see this. I want to bring this to light. You see, hanging out is not that bad.
I didn't say it's
It
bad.
depends on what you hang out for.
Okay.
There are people that have picked what they are looking for. At times you've prayed, you fasted, you asked God, I want this, help me that. At times God watches you, because God is a spirit who uses human beings. God wouldn't use an angel that you don't see. He uses human beings. At times when you hang out with important people, then you get some things you're looking for. I've
But
seen.
it's not going to be every time.
Not every time. That's what I'm saying. That's what I say. I don't want you to just cease hanging out.
To just knock it off.
Knock it off completely.
We're talking about the month of January.
Even
1 month out of 12.
Even if it's month of December, whatever it is, because when
These
you
men are hanging out.
what I want to tell
right?
you, what I want to tell you that if you're hang out with people who may carry what you want.
Okay. Who can add value
to yourself.
Yeah, hanging out with friends to add value to your life one way or the other.
I've seen people that hang out, they're only drinking water and they are talking.
Well,
They're deliberating on ideas. You can pick what you're looking for.
that's 10 out
10
of
out of
100.
Yes.
Okay.
So let us just not kill completely.
We're talking to the ones that hang out to eat catfish, pepper soup, and drink beer. All right. After work, it's not like they're discussing business. They're just, this is not the month to do that. Okay. So let's keep it real, people. You know what I'm talking about. But this is not the time, to do that. Go home after work, at least for this month, okay, so that you are not under undue pressure. Also, this is the time for you to embrace frugal living, okay? The minimalist approach is advised at this point in time. Do the barest minimum. Don't overdo. Yes, don't overdo. Don't go above and beyond trying to prove a point. You're not proving a point to anybody. Right now in Nigeria, nobody's trying to prove anything to anybody. Okay, so just embrace the minimalist way of living. Only what is necessary. Your needs right now is more important than your wants. Okay, so you can leave that, keep that aside until when things pick up for you financially speaking. All right, and also if buying gas, that's fuel, for your car is chopping too much money, why don't you drop your car for just this month of January and patronize public transportation? Okay, nothing will happen, heaven will not fall if you enter bus just to cut costs, because we all know what fuel is saying at the filling stations right now. So you just do your checks and balances, averagely how much fuel you buy in a week, and how much it will cost to take public transportation. Whichever one is cheaper for you, please do. This is not the time to form big boy and big girl, okay, so that we can all survive this period. Okay, so also there are shops at this point in time who are on sales because they know people don't have so much money. Look around you for stores, that are giving discounts, and shop there, okay? If you're for bare necessities, shop there, please, for God's sakes, and just, just keep some coins for yourself, if you know what I mean. So, God be with us all. We will survive January. It is well. All right. So,